little frustrated. I have so much to tell you.
Come on.
And I don't have the time to do it. So here's what I'm going to put out there for you. And I've never done this before in groups, but you guys are such a great group. It's humbling to be such good hearts.
Come on, brother.
It's a real tribute to your ministry staff and to you guys that you love God that much. You know, I don't promote what I do with this because it's not how I make a living, okay? I mean, I get paid a little bit, but it's not nowhere near what I would charge for my time. So it's not something I'm looking to do, you know, but I just feel like God's given me a gift, maybe, and that I have some ability to help people see some of this stuff and get inspired, and that's all we can do in this short time is just inspire you. A lot of you want specific help, and I really want to be able to give it, but I can't. So we're going to have to figure that out within the group, and I'm going to put out there, if you want, I already told Dad, you're dead now.
Come on.
If you guys want me to come back in 6 months or something and do a financial workshop, like 3 hours on a Saturday, and then we get down to nitty gritty, you know, getting out of debt, real specific. You know, I got 33 years of professional experience, stories, war stories to tell you. And they just come to me as I talk because, you know, I remember this and I remember that, and you guys remember the stories. I taught as an adjunct at the University of Georgia for 5 years. And when my students said, we remember the stories, that's how we remember the lessons. So I really want to do that. If you want, you know, I'm not asking for it, but if you want me to, because I can't possibly answer all your questions. We got like 30 questions.
Wow.
I can't answer all your emails. I can't answer your phone calls. I mean, it's, you know, and I want to. Okay. This section is, I'm going to try to do it in 20 minutes. It's called generosity, the privilege of giving, privilege of sharing. It says in 2 Corinthians 8, 1 through 7, it says, one part in verse 3, it says, for I testify that they gave as much as they were able, even beyond their ability, entirely on their own. They urgently pleaded with us for the privilege of sharing in the service of their faith. On June 30th, 1992, Steve and Kim Sapp moved to Athens for the summer. Don and Lee Burrows were leading our region, and they asked my wife and me to come to their house, and I thought we were going to talk about the summer, you know, I thought we were going to talk about plans, and great, cool. We get there, and Steve starts out, sitting in the living room, and says, Greg, we're concerned. What? He says, we're concerned about you. I said, okay. He said, you give plenty to the church. You have a gift of making money, and we're not trying to get you to give another dollar, but you're not known as a generous person. People don't feel blessed being around you. And they should, because you've been given so much, and you're given a lot. And, you know, everything inside of me wanted to argue with them. You know, it's like that first filter, you know, it's like the anti-ballistic missile system that comes out.
Come on.
You gotta just shut up. Okay? The best thing you do when you're feeling that, just don't say anything. Just kind of calm down, take some deep breaths. You know, and Kim, who my wife studied the Bible with her back in Florida, so she says, Greg, I feel bad. I heard.
Wow.
And so I'm thinking, gosh, you know, and so I just kept my mouth shut. I've been a Christian long enough to realize two things you can accomplish when you keep your mouth shut when someone's trying to help you, give you a little feedback in your life. One is you appear a lot more humble than you are. Two, actually three things. Two, they don't hit you quite as bad because you're not fighting back. And three, you give the Holy Spirit a chance to really work. And as soon as we start arguing in our mind or arguing verbally, you're done. You know, lights out, game over. You're not listening. So they talk to me, and I just listen. And my wife has got a much better heart than I do. She's like, okay, we'll tell anything. I go, I'm just listening. And then I pulled aside Steve and Don. I said, can the guys just talk? I just want to put some meat on this. I want to really think this through. Spent another couple hours with them. Kate and I went home, and she went to bed, and I had to go walk. It was like 12 o'clock at night, and I walked for an hour and a half outside praying that God would make generosity my conviction.
Wow.
And I thought, I really need to do it. That's right. It's And I was convicted by it, and I wanted it to be a deep conviction. So I prayed for a long time. And then I started thinking, this is June 30th, I think in terms of end of the year, middle of the year, count, right? And then I started thinking, what can I do? I started being creative. My wife is a very generous person. And I was the kind of person that, we'd have a baby shower, and she'd want to buy the church. $150. I go, honey, we can't spend $150 for every baby that's born in this church, we're broke. Or a wedding shower, she wants to get, And I said, we just get, I was that guy, okay? And I'm sure there are guys like that in this church too. Just really, really, really responsible, but really boring.
Come on, Brian.
Sorry, but I was really boring. I was the kind of guy who got to lunch with me, and then we got the bill. I go, okay, let's see, you had the pastrami sandwich, you had 2 Cokes, and so I did the math in my head, okay, and the tip, how much you give me for tip? So I decided, you know what, if my wife wants to get whatever she wants to get for people, I said, honey, that's fine. I may have to swallow hard, but get it. Got to lunch with people, yeah, I'm paying. I just started really doing that. So the next day, on July 1st, I had 1992. We were having some paperwork done in our driveway, and the guy I hired, of course, hired somebody under him who was just a laborer to do the work. He's getting paid, but he's paying this guy very little. So I thought, his name was Henry. I said, Henry, I gave him $50. I said, don't tell George, but you're doing a great job, and I appreciate it. He goes, well, thanks. The next day, July 2nd, I have a client that comes from St. Louis. He had lived near us, and he was a big executive with some big public company in St. Louis, and he comes, and he had a very complicated tax return. So I gave him his return, I have the bills, $2,700, still remember these numbers, and he says, you need to change that bill. I went, uh-oh? He says, what do you mean? He goes, you need to raise it. I want you to add $800 to it. I said, why? He said, because you don't charge me. Our company reimburses us, and you're like, this is the cheapest anybody pays. I said, done. No problem. I'll change it right now. And then later I thought, oh my gosh, I just gave Henry $50. The next day, God gives me $800. Wow, that's not a coincidence. I don't think it's coincidence. And then the rest of that year, I am thinking of ways to give to my staff, just bonus. I'm just giving money away. And it was fun. I'm trying to do things anonymously, helping people adopting kids, and I would just, give stock and say, don't tell them I gave it, And it was so much fun. And the curious thing about it? My income went up 33%. A big time of my year is the beginning of the year. This was the second half of the year. My income went up 33%. And it just kept going up. So this is 21 years ago now? It was an amazing experience to go through that. And I believe that this is like the other bookend. This bookend is giving God the first fruits. Right? Are we all clear on that? Honor the Lord, right? In the middle, get out of debt, free yourself from slavery, let my people go. And then be generous. Generosity. Think about it. God is an extravagant God. Anybody ever tell you look like your dad? You look like your mom? Yeah. I want to look like my father.
Good point.
We need to look like our father.
Great
So
point.
you remind me of God because you're so generous. When people go, wow, that must be what God's like because I'm blown away by your generosity. It doesn't mean money necessarily. It means with your time, with just your heart, with everything you do. You just give to the people. You say, well, great, wait a second now. You told us that now I got to figure out how I'm going to give 10%, and now I have to give money away too. How am I going to do this? I don't know. Pray about it. God will help you get there. Pray about it. Seriously, I'm not telling you just drop everything right now and leave here and you're commanded to do this. Just say, think and pray and ask God to make it possible, to make it a reality in your life. Believe me, if that is your heart, if that is your goal, it will happen. We have special contributions. And the special contribution, for years I would hear multiple. And my problem with the multiple is it is a goal. Okay, it's not it's a congregational goal. I remember thinking, hey, we got to multiple 22, whatever the number is, and I said, it's easy for me to say, well, I'm giving my time. I give 22. I hit my mark 22 times, but I can give 50 times. I should give more than the multiple because I am able to give more. Wow. And you got people that are living on fixed income, got Social Security check, maybe a little pension. That's all they they're tithing, and they can't give 17 times or 22 times. I mean, they can't. Those poor people who only give 3 times go home feeling bad, feel like they messed up. They didn't give. It's discouraging. That little widow who gave 2 pennies, I'm sure she didn't feel like, I'm any great thing. And Jesus points her out and said, she gave more than anybody. So to me, the goal is a congregational goal. And what I do believe, what happens to us, we know it's coming every year, so we plan for it. And the way we plan is we don't give a tithe. we give, so at the end of the year, if we're hitting a tithe, we're hitting it with all those special contributions. And that doesn't take a lot of faith.
Right.
What takes faith is going, you know what, I give to God what's holy, and I give the tithe. And then when we have the special contribution, I'm going to put the special back in special contribution. Let's let it be special. Let's let it be something that God blows our minds. Somebody in the church has some great big windfall. If somebody who gives a lot gives 50 times instead of 15 times, it covers a lot of people that are giving way less than 15 times. And then it really is something that everybody gets fired up like, man, look what God has done. And it happens. For a while there, we were very, rigid about our social contribution goal. And we'd like, we got to make it, make it happen, and we're on the back room going, how are we going to do it, And then finally, we got away from that. Said, you know what, just let God do it. And what happened is we gave over the goal, and everybody felt great about it. The person who gave 1 time, and the person who gave 100 times, everybody felt great about it because the church could rejoice as a whole.
Amen.
I had to throw that in. Okay, let's see. I'm going to share something else with you. This is another significant event in my life, very significant. I'm going to try to do this without choking up. We adopted our children when they were babies. My son, when he was 13, started to get a little mouthy. When he was 14, he was downright defiant. He was messing up in school, and so we sent him to a boarding military school, 45 miles from us. It's like the Ritz-Carlton of military schools. I mean, my wife and I went to visit and said, can we go there? It's beautiful. 12 students per class, And my son was so defiant that he did whatever he had to do to get kicked out. And so Christmas, he comes home, and he's going back, and he didn't tell us anything, but we found out because the commander of the school calls me right after he went there and says, your son is going to be brought up on charges, and he may get expelled from the school. I said, what happened? Because he's been hazing this kid, and we're going to have this, it wasn't anything bad, but he did enough to get kicked out. So I talked to him on the phone, and I said, Alex, if you get kicked out of that school, I'm going to put you in a tougher place. He says, oh, no, you're not. I will hurt you. I said, excuse me? I said, I promise you, son, we will do whatever it takes. So I found out he got kicked out. Commander calls me and says, can you pick him up? This was January 4th, 2004. Just about turned 50, like it is. Tough 50. And I said, he said, can you pick him up tonight? I said, I don't know. He said, well, we'll keep him in the infirmary. You have to pick him up tomorrow. So I get home, and it just so happened Mike and Mary Shapiro, who are best friends, they're both psychologists, and Mary is very astute on this stuff. Mary felt like he had to go to a residential therapeutic place for troubled teens. And, Mary said that. I said, okay. Went home, Kay and I both, okay, we got to find one. Talked to different people, hit the kids to tough places. And I knew a brother in Orlando, Florida, Bill Boyles, who did the same thing with his son and had told me the whole story. And another person I knew. So we, that night, on the phone all night, we got him registered with a school that's based out of Utah to a place in South Carolina. It was the closest place. I called the bail bondsman, client of mine, and said, can you meet us at the school to pick him up? Because I'm afraid he'll jump out of the car if we do this. He said, no problem. I said, I just want to pay you to do it. He goes, no problem. So we pick him up. It was the hardest day. I'm fine. To take your son and drop him off and not know when you're going to see him again. And he's angry, and he's telling you, you'll never see me again. He was 15. The window of opportunity with your kids is still 18. Once they're 18, you can't do that. You can't make them do anything. You can't send We drive him up to school, didn't know we were going to see him again. Had great relief. My daughter said, Dad, thank you, because I was afraid for my life. And I said, why didn't you say something? So, 6 months later, he didn't do a thing. It's very expensive. And I'm over here, the accountant in me is worried about the money. Okay? And 6 months later, he hadn't done a thing. It already cost us $30,000 or something. And they suggested we send him to a tougher school in Ogdensburg, New York, across on the St. Lawrence River. Said, okay, you have to pay for a transporter to take him. It's like $3,000 or $4,000. Still hadn't talked to him. He has to earn the privilege of talking to us. He has to reach certain levels to get to this place where he understands that every action has a consequence. Goes to New York. We're in Italy with Ed and Tom. That trip, I was pretty down because my son was in New York. We had just seen him in September for a parent-child conference thing. And I was pretty down, and we called for our weekly conference call with our family representative, and he said, I hate to tell you this, but you're on vacation, but your son tried to start a riot last night, and they want him out of the school. My world went dark for 3 hours. We were with some of our best friends, Ed and Karen Townsend. We had been in each other's weddings 25 years earlier, and we were in Tuscany. And I don't know where I was. I thought, I can't do this, I'm a father, and I can't do this. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. And so we couldn't even do anything about it from there. So the only school that would take him, when we got back, the only school that would take him was a school not in the country. It was in Jamaica. Because in this country, if a staff person hits a child, defect will shut you down. In Jamaica, they go, bring it on, Mom. I kid. So of course, my son, who's a smart kid, decided, I'm going to test this. I'm going to get myself kicked out of here too. And they held him down, corporal punishment. I said, that's how we discipline our kids around here. I said, great. So he finally figured it out, and we were not getting him out of there until he graduates from that program. It was 26 months that he was in that program. Cost a lot of money. But you know what happened? That first year, part of this program involves the parents going to seminars. And these seminars are very well done by really powerful speakers. And it's all about, the first seminar, this big dude, it's about 6'7", big black guy with a booming voice, and he's amazing. And he says, you're not here for your son or your daughter. They're fine. They're going to be fine. We're here for you. And they go through all these exercises that kind of help us deal with all our fixed beliefs and all our stuff. And one of these exercises was a giver-taker exercise. And the giver-taker exercise, we had been together, these seminars like 3 days, and you interact with a bunch of people. And the first seminar we go to, we're like a bunch of deer caught in the headlight. We're all a bunch of parents thinking, super concerned parents, super sacrificial parents, feel like the biggest loser parents that walk the earth. And we're all walking around like Walking Dead. And then we go to these exercises, and one of the exercises I had before I tell you about give or take, one of the exercises was you line all the parents up one end of the room, and they say, okay, one at a time, you have to go across the room. But you got to go across in a way that's different from anybody else who went before you. So the first person just walks across, second person runs, skips, first 20 people is no big deal. 150 people.
Whoa.
I was like really towards the end. And I went, oh boy. And they are the judge of whether you did it like anybody else. But we all managed to get across the room differently. And the point of that exercise is to teach you that there are many ways to get across the room. What happens to most of us, we say can't, and can't never could. I can't give my tithe. I said, you gotta understand. Well, okay, you're done. Game over. You're not gonna do it. I can't pay off my debt. I can't. Look, that's the problem. You gotta stop saying the word can't. Because can't never could. One of the lessons we learned is that you have your goal really clear. And I remember this one analogy. They said, if your child falls into the river and cannot swim, and you cannot swim, are you really going to think about how am I going to do this? What if I die? You don't think of any of that stuff. You know what you do? You are in head first. You have one clear, defining goal to save that child's life. So it took me a year to get to that point where I stopped worrying about what he's going to costs. And I finally said, whatever it costs, whatever we have to sell, we're going to save this child's life. And if we never see him again, we would know that we did everything we possibly could. So another exercise, in another seminar, after interacting with everybody, they lined up everybody in a big semicircle, and this person over here would start out, and they voted on each person how they experienced that person at the seminar as a giver or a taker. And so this guy over here would go, start one, giver, giver. And you have to keep up with your giver votes and your taker votes. Giver, taker, taker, giver. And so I'm thinking, Christian, I'm going to have all the giver votes, I'm going to be giver, right? By definition, I'm a giver. I was like right in the middle. My wife and I were right in the middle. And it was they made us line up in order of the number of giver votes down to the number of the taker votes. And I thought about that, and I thought, God is the ultimate giver. He anchors the giver into this thing. Satan anchors the giver. Giving and taking has nothing to do with what the money and all that stuff. It has to do with how you give, how you present yourself, how you are with everybody. And it was a very powerful lesson. Couple scriptures. Okay, thank you. Couple scriptures. 2 Corinthians 9:11 says, you will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion. 9:13, because of the service by which you have proved yourselves, others will praise God for the obedience that accompanies your confession of the gospel of Christ and for your generosity. They will praise God for your generosity. And so just with them, just your generosity is encouraging. Proverbs 11, verse 24 says, one man gives freely, yet gains even more. Imagine that. That's just the principle of life. A generous man will prosper. Luke 6, verse 38 says, give and it will be given to you. And you know the rest of that. It's not just talking about contribution. It's talking about every aspect of giving. 1 Timothy 6:17 says, command those who are rich in this present world. Okay, here it comes. All you rich people, get ready. Get the wallets out. This is it. It's coming. What does he tell them? Not to be arrogant. It's real easy to be arrogant when you make a lot of money. I know. Nor to put their hope in wealth. It's real easy to do that. And a lot of us have learned that that's not anything to put your hope in. Which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly, notice he uses the word richly provides. He doesn't say who gives us what we need. Who stingily gives what we need. Who gives us the bare essential. No, he says he richly. God doesn't have to be rich about it, I mean, he just richly provides us with everything for what? So we can help other people. No, it's just for our enjoyment.
Wow.
For our enjoyment. God, any parents in here? You give to your kids richly? You like to see them happy, enjoying stuff? I mean, it makes you feel good. As they say, you're only as happy as your unhappiest child, right? I mean, it makes you feel good to see your children happy and enjoying what you give them. If you gave them a gift and they say, throw it to the side, you'd be really hurt. It says, command them to do what? Do good. It doesn't say command them to give it all away. It says command them to do good. To be rich in good deeds and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly life.
Wow, amen.
I mean, that's a powerful passage. And I'll give you some references, a few others. There's 5 I want to give you. Psalms 37, verse 26. Proverbs 22, verse 9. Psalms 112, verse 5. I'm going too fast. 37, 26. Proverbs 22, 9. Psalms 112, verse 5. Proverbs 11:25, and Deuteronomy 15:10. If you have that YouVersion Bible app on your iPad, just put in generosity. You'll see there's so many great passages on this. I'm sure you're wondering what's happening to my son. Well, he graduated the program in 2006. He went to, at that point he'd been away for almost 2.5 years. And so he wasn't in a regular high school, so he got his GED and then went to community college for 1.5 years, and then went to Savannah College of Art and Design and graduated last November.
Wow.
So I'll tell you, he has trouble. He's not a disciple, so I'm asking all of you to pray for him. His name is Alec. If you meet him, don't tell him I'm praying for you because friends. Not a disciple, but he is he knows that this saved his life. He said to me one day, I've never had a real traditional normal high school experience. I said, Alec, you were destined not to have a normal high school experience, son. You're either going to be a young father on drugs, in jail, or the program. Okay, so get over that. You have a college graduate. You're doing great. Okay, so all right, it's 12 minutes till 1. What should I do? 5 minutes? Questions? I'm going to read just a few questions. And again, if you want me here,
come on.
Tell Ed, I'll come up here after tax season. On a Saturday, we'll spend 3 hours, as long as you want. I can talk forever, as you can tell. Okay, should I take money out of my 401k to pay off credit card debt? No, 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 no. Why no? They charge you 10% penalty, and you got to pay tax on it. That is not the source of paying off debt. Please don't do that. What you can do is stop contributing to it until you pay off all that other debt, all the credit card debt. Stop contributing. Stop saving. Because you have to have savings. No, you have debt. Okay, if you have debt, you can always reborrow it. So pay that stuff up. When you're paying the minimum on a debt, how much more over should you pay? As much as you can. On a home mortgage, if you add 5% to your payment, just 5% of the payment to your payment, you will shorten that mortgage by 4 years. The average mortgage, depending on the interest rate, will take somewhere between 18 and 20 or 21 years to pay off half of it. I'm holding the mortgage for it's somebody that I sold the house to, and he's been paying me. It's a $120,000 loan on this house. He's been paying me for 12 years. He's paid me over $120,000 already in payments, and he still owes me $101,000. Okay, so make it work for you. Pay extra, get it done. Believe me, the banks will take your money. And then I hear people say, "Well, you pay all the interest up front." I said, "No, you only pay interest on the outstanding balance." So obviously, day one, the outstanding balance is the most. So you're going to pay more interest. But as you add payments, they have to, by law, apply it to your principal. You will knock that thing down, and it will be fun. And you will learn to have fun. Should I count the tithe before taxes? Okay. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Render to God what is God's. I mean, is the government ahead of God? I mean, my personal conviction is you tithe off the top. Because God is greater than anything else. Enough said. How do I get my husband on the same page as me? I am all about living on a budget. But that knucklehead, but he is terrified and avoids the subject. Needless to say, we've had hard time in our family. No. Our only debt is student loans and only in our mortgage, but we are not good stewards with what we have. We have gotten with couples this multiple times. Please help me. Gosh, that's a tough one. I'm going to let Ed answer that because he's less more than I am. Okay, most of the people you refer to who pay off debt are wealthy or seemingly. No, that's not true. That is not true. Absolutely not true. How does the average person do the same? I'll tell you, my mother never was wealthy. My mother didn't receive a thing from anybody, and she paid off her debt because she was determined to. And I saw her give up stuff. And I've seen a lot of people who make $20,000, $30,000 a year live much better in their retirement than the people, like doctors, who are making $200,000 and $300,000 and $400,000 a year because they've gotten into so much debt they can't see their way out of it. Should I file bankruptcy? What are your thoughts on bankruptcy? Okay, I think bankruptcy is an absolute last resort with lots of advice. There are some situations. I don't think it's a sin. I just don't think it's good. You don't learn anything from this filing bankruptcy. You really don't. I had people tell me, "Oh, I paid off my credit card." "Oh, great, how'd you do it?" "I You just changed masters. Instead of MasterCard, it's now Bank of America. That's not, you don't learn anything. You know what you learn from? You learn from sucking it up and going, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to tighten that belt. I'm going to swallow that big, fat, nasty pill Greg talked about. And then when you get through that, man, you have a skill set that you would never have without that experience. Yeah. When and how do you recommend teaching the children to tithe? I think you let them know what you do. Let them see it. Your kids will follow you. Okay, I learned everything I learned from watching my parents. You learn everything you know about money, lots of what you know about money. If you're bad at it, your parents probably were bad at it. And you have to change what you're learning. But your kids they do watch, they observe. When we get to the point of having money to save, what are the best retirement savings? I have to answer that next time I'm here. Okay, I'm done. I have to be done because we have to get out of here. Thank you so much.